I'm talking with Zoltan Naji, the writer and director of On the Quiet. Hi, Zoltan.
Hi. Hi.
How are
It's
you
nice to meet
doing?
you. I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. So you are somewhat quarantined in Hungary, is that right?
Who can say that? I'm beside the, I'm like right next to a lake, in a house with my family, and we are spending the next couple of weeks here. But we went home to my parents, and we spent like 3 months quarantine over there.
Hmm.
And just a couple of weeks before we were able to go back to Budapest, where we actually live in.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm in my basement, if you can't tell.
Right.
It doesn't look like a basement, but
No, it doesn't.
that's the, you know how these things work.
Yeah.
So I wanted to jump in right away with this question. I really like the way the film is not actually told from the perspective of either a victim or a perpetrator, but really from a third person who has connections with both what may be the perpetrator and what may be a victim. And I think it makes it much harder for that person and for the audience to really determine what is happening. I was curious what led you to decide to tell the story that way.
Actually, it is my point of view, because this story is inspired by true events. What I witnessed when I was like 18, and I was a witness of this story, and therefore I was like, this is the point of view I really into, and this is the way I want, or this is the position I want to put the audience in a position where you are not able to decide whether it's true or not, because you don't have any exact evidence in your hand, and you are just full of doubt. So my what I really wanted to achieve, that to maintain doubt in the audience and to give them the possibility to make their own decision at the end about
Mm,
either the conductor is guilty or not, or what really happened, to be able to discuss about this topic. And it was one reason that I chose to write a script like this, or show the story from this angle. The other one is that when I was starting to develop the script, it was like 2016, and it was just right before the international Me Too scandals hit the media. And by the time I was posing a question to myself. It was like, what else I can say, or what else I can tell about this topic in 2020, because everyone just talk about it. And what I learned about the scandals, that we are not really able to talk about this topic properly, because we always look at the two angles, the two angle of the story, the perpetrator and the victim's point of view, or the side, and we never investigate the community where all of these stories, in which all of these stories happen, and in which almost all of these stories are covered up. And I was really curious about this negligence of the adult society, and therefore I made a lot of interviews with victims and perpetrators as well. And out of those stories, I learned that you are never, as a witness, you are never able to look beside or look behind the closed doors. So you're not able to see what exactly happened. So you are only full of doubt, and you still have to behave as a human and decide what to do in a situation like this. It's a really hard, it's a really hard part. It's a really hard role, the witness. And I think most of the people who uh, who see a story like this is a witness. In a way,
Yeah,
all of us is a witness.
yeah. You know, we were talking about this earlier when I had mentioned that as a teenager, had been in an orchestra that was pretty esteemed in the community that it was in. And there was, I'm not sure about sexual abuse, but there was definitely some kind of abuse of power. And I did, it was easy for me to see how certain members of the community found that inconvenient and didn't want that to be something they had to deal with because it would affect, you know, the programs their kids were in. And you talked about witnessing some of this. Did you find that was some aspect of it that actually pursuing this would, kind of as portrayed in the film, would be terribly inconvenient for everybody?
Yeah, sure, but I think almost all of these stories are covered up by this thought that nobody, so everybody, somehow everybody fear from any kind of change, especially this kind of big change, like this one. If it turns out that someone is abusing, especially a teacher abusing a child, and it affects the community really in a really bad way, and every single person of the community hurts in some way, and it's just really scary. And
Mm,
I think therefore a lot of people don't want to take a stand or don't want to really deal with it or look at it, just look to the other way and pretending nothing ever happened or nothing happened, because it's easier, I think, or
right.
it's easier to defend ourselves, to keep the, the ordinary, I don't know, something, to keep everything, to, how do you say that, to keep everything in order, instead of you know trying to find out what really happened.
Right. And I don't know if you are free or feel free to talk about it, and if you don't, that's fine. But you mentioned that this partially came from something that you yourself experienced. You said it was told from your point of view. Was that in like an orchestra setting or in a music setting like this? I know part of the reason you did this is because it's in your background and it was a world you knew well. But I was also curious if also some of the abuse you saw was in a setting like that.
Actually, yeah, I was a part of an orchestra by the time, uh, when this happened, and yeah, that was the main reason that I chose to build the script, or to put this story in this environment, because it happened in my life also in this environment. And music was really important for me by that time, and it was really hard to realize that a person who was really important for me could do such things like this, and it affected the love of music for me as well, and and
Wow.
and that's really brutal, or I don't know how to say that, but it's really sad. Not only the personal relationships are uh, hurt in this situation, but like the love of music, or you can say that everything.
Mm. No, absolutely. And I absolutely understand a lot of what you're talking about
And
with
there's a
that.
huge, there's a huge, how can I say that? There's a huge contrast between the two things, music and abuse of power.
Mm,
And when these two meets, it's like, I don't know, it's really, really brutal.
yeah, absolutely. You talked about the research. You did some research, I think, speaking with victims, I believe. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Mostly I talked a lot of girls who are women right now, or became a women or became adults, uh, who had a similar relationship when they were like 13. So I was searching for this, and I found a lot. But it was
Mm,
really hard to talk about this topic, especially with those I who were who were strangers for me, or I was
mm,
stranger for them,
mhm,
because it was really hard to open up, especially in this topic. But it was really interesting that after a couple of hours of talking, they just opened up, and it was revealing. It was like most of them have never talked about it with anyone.
mm.
It
Wow.
was it was like the first step of a any kind of a healing process or something like this.
Mm,
Uh, so the hardest part was to approach them to talk about it.
mhm. I come across this sometimes with other directors, in particular documentary filmmakers, but I always wonder why uh, people in these situations find that often the directors say this is the first time they've talked about this with somebody else. And what you start to realize is it's partially because it's the first time someone's actually just sat across from them and asked them
Yeah,
to talk
yeah,
about it. And some of these questions,
exactly.
why do you think that is? Why do you think it's, we don't naturally do that?
I think it tells a lot about human relationships, that we are not really curious or care about each other,
Mm,
even in a close community like a like a string orchestra.
mhm,
So it's really rare uh, when someone just open his or her eyes and just look around and see or look at the other people around them, and just watch them a little, that if there's any problem, or are they happy, or are they are not, or it's just the lack of this curiosity, or the lack of empathy. I don't know, it's just I think I think this is the way human relationships work these days, or I don't know, not just these days.
mhm. I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about the actors. I really, all of the actors are great, but the three leads, really make the movie. And I want to start off by asking about the two younger actors, Eric and Lulu. How did you find them? Was it easy to cast them for their roles? Was it hard to find the right person? Can you talk about them a little bit?
Yeah, sure. The hardest part was to find the young girl, uh, Nori. Me and my casting director went mostly to summer camps, and we watched like, I don't know, like almost 4,000 girls, and out of these amount of girls, we were really lucky to find Lulu Bogner. And from the very first sight, I was like, I think she will be the person for this role. My
Mhm.
producers were like, don't rush, just watch a lot of other girls and make your decision later. So we went on the casting, but it was like almost the beginning of the casting, where I just bumped into Lulu, and I decided in myself or in me that she will be Nori.
Mm,
And yeah, she's great. I mean, she was she's she's mature enough to talk about this topic, and that was really important. She was, as far as I remember, she was 14 when we
mm,
shot the movie, or maybe she turned to 15 during the shooting.
okay.
But she was really mature enough to talk about this, and she was able to reflect on her own feelings and relations, and she was able to express herself clearly and talk about everything, and she was able to find the core elements in her own personal life, uh, and linked together these elements with the character's life. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, her character is fascinating, almost frustrating, uh, uh, because you want her to basically you want her to protect herself more, uh, but at the same time, uh, having been being a father of a whose daughter is just a little bit older than that now, I also feel like it's a pretty accurate portrayal of that age, some of the insecurity, some of the desire for approval, and it's for a parent, it's very frightening to
Yeah.
watch that. Tell me about Eric. Had you seen him before?
Yeah, Eric is studying to be an actor in the National Hungarian University of Theater and Film Arts, and I graduated there also, and I am teaching there. So I watched his I watched a lot him playing in the school, and I was like, sometime we have to work together. Unfortunately, this movie just happened, and I was
Mm,
like, just work together. So yeah, I known him before
mhm.
before the movie.
Yeah, he was great, and we can't leave this discussion without talking about Gabor Mate.
Yeah,
I think I said it the right way, or close to. His performance, I have to say, from the beginning, from the first second I saw him on film, was just so captivating. Actually, um, he definitely captured um, a certain kind of authority, a certain kind of charisma, uh, and it did remind me, not necessarily in a bad way, although that comes with it, but it did remind me of conductors and other people I've seen in those positions. Uh, how did how did you get to that point in that role with him as an actor? Is that something he brought to it? Is that something you guys worked out together? Can you talk to me about that a little bit?
yeah, we talked a lot with him about it, and fortunately, he's a teacher also in this university, and he teaches a lot of actor students, and those students are like, for them, he is like one of the biggest name in Hungary. So this side was really easy to maintain, to to be able to create that atmosphere in which everybody just look up uh, to this master. And the other part, or the other side of him, is to be able to uh, talk to these youngs, or to these students in a way, in their own way. So how can I express myself? To talk in a way that they are really familiar with. So in a in one minute he is like he's a teacher, and another minute he is like a friend,
Mm,
and he just makes it every time.
mm,
And yeah, that was the core of his role, I guess.
mhm. That was right. And when was the decision reached that he chewing gum? Is that what he keeps doing?
Yeah, it
When
was
was the
it
decision, or
was
how
his
was that
idea
decision reached?
actually. It was his idea. At one point at the shooting, he was like, "We need something really unique and personal, really tiny little thing." And I was like, "Yeah, just do it." Chewing gums is like it's not really something that conductors do,
Right.
especially right before or on a concert or right
Right.
before the concert. But it just gave so much for this character that both of us just loved this idea.
Yeah. Yeah. It was fascinating for me because I'm watching it having, played under several conductors and thinking, I haven't seen that before. And yet somehow I absolutely buy it with this character. I absolutely believe that this is real.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It was fun. Um, I want to talk about the ending of the film. It is on at the same time very quiet. It's a very quiet ending, and yet I found a very powerful ending. How did you reach that point? How did you realize that's how you wanted to end the film, with that um, kind of quiet confrontation between the student and the conductor?
Actually, we just did a lot of rehearsals, and we did this scene over and over again. And I knew one thing, that it won't be loud. It won't be said loud that he's guilty. But
Mm,
we have to know that
mhm,
with Eric, with David. But it's
mhm,
according to my experiences, it is more like this. It's not said out loud, or it's just almost in every case it is just we can say that covered up in that way. We know the
mhm,
truth, but there's nothing we can do about it.
mhm, mhm. Wow. And yeah, I have to say that it felt very authentic. It felt very real. And yet at the same time, I don't remember seeing a scene like that in a film. Usually between the writer, the director, and the actor, everyone wants to have a lot, have a lot of conversation, have a lot of yelling, and to instead just end with the character basically crying. It finally coming to the realization this is true, and it's very sad, and it ends that way. um, was that a little worrisome for you to end the film that way, or did you have second thoughts about that, or did you feel pretty confident about ending it that way?
Actually, I was really confident in this ending, because what I knew from the very beginning, that I don't want to make a movie in which somebody's yelling that's, how could you have done it, or you're guilty, I'm out, or something like this, or because there would be just a lie. I mean, when I witnessed this situation, it was just about whispering in the back, and nobody were talking about this topic like one-on-one. It was just in the corner, just two of us. And did it really happen or not? I don't know. Just don't talk about it anymore. And it was my inspiration, and therefore for me that was the right way to talk about, or to tell this story. And therefore, from the very beginning, I knew that will be the ending of this movie. We tried out during the script developing different kinds of endings just for fun, but fortunately, we didn't choose another one.
Right. No, I think it's absolutely the perfect ending to the film. What were some of the other challenges to getting this made? I'm sure there was challenges with just figuring out how to have an orchestra playing, you have lots of scenes with people playing music. And I'm sure you ran across some other challenges along the way. Can you talk about any of those?
Any kind of challenges besides music, or
Yeah, any story you like to tell.
any story? Oh my God, there are so many stories. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really all right. One of my favorite is before one of the shooting days, when we woke up, we realized that one of the lightning truck just caught on fire, and like all of the lightning equipment just destroyed.
Mm.
So, but we were not able to call off the day because it was a really low budget movie, and we just couldn't afford it, and we just make a shooting day without any lightning equipment. So like there is that scene like almost in the middle of the movie, there is a concert in a church, if you remember that. So there were no lightning in that movie.
Right.
And we just we were really lucky because the sound was up, and it looked really good, I guess.
Well, Zoltan, I really enjoyed the movie. And I think our audience is going to be very moved by it. And I really appreciate you spending your afternoon speaking with us, our morning, your afternoon. And hopefully someday we'll be able to have you come out to our festival.
Yeah, that would be great. And thank you very much for your kind words.